Here we are. Now I've got it. Now pay particular attention to this first clause because it's most important.
All right. It says the first part of the party of the first part shall be known in this contract as the first part of the party of the first part shall be known in this contract. Look, why should we quarrel about a thing like this? We'll take it right out, huh? It's too long anyhow.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and the Daily Wire has released their kind of bombshell response to the anonymous complaints of Steven Crowder, but others, certainly many people believe that it was Daily Wire he was talking about. Steven Crowder actually never named them, and there is probably about at least a half dozen companies that he could have been talking about. But I do want to give some props to Daily Wire for coming out and being open and transparent. There's much of the video that I have critiques for, concerns about, but there is some very fair points that the Daily Wire makes. I think the main takeaway here, I think what both sides could probably agree on, is that Steven Crowder was never going to be a fit at the Daily Wire. So a lot of this is, much ado about nothing. There are still concerns about the way the contract was written and how it would be written for newer talent that I'm going to point out that, kind of the Daily Wire kind of glossed over. But they did talk a lot about their penalties and things of that nature. And most of that stuff makes sense. It made sense at the time. But they also didn't clear up some other things. So I'm gonna get into all of this. Most importantly, though, I'm not gonna shill you anything. I'm not gonna sell you my delicious coffee brand coffee. But while you're listening, please, I've got something really, really, really big brewing. Just like Crowder, for example. Please open a new tab and go to thequartering.com and sign up for my newsletter. Or if you already follow me on Locals, it's fine, but I definitely need to be able to get a hold of you. I don't email very often. If you're on the list, I haven't emailed in like months. Put your email address in, hit subscribe. Then it's going to say, wait, you must check your inbox to confirm your subscription because I'm doing a double opt-in to make sure to maximize delivery. Then go to your email and check. You'll get an email from me that says, please confirm, and then hit the yes, subscribe me to this list. I've got a pretty huge announcement coming up that I want to discuss with you now, and quite frankly, I need to be able to get a hold of you, and I think today would be a great day to do that. Now, here's the deal: big announcement coming, so sign up for the newsletter. But I still believe there's a lot. Okay, so let me talk about what I agree with or what I think the Daily Wire did correct in their video, or like that was fair, I'll say. First, I commend them in being openly transparent. Steven Crowder never outed them. They outed themselves, but I think that some people make valid arguments that, well, come on, bro, like everyone knew it was them. I still think that there was reasonable doubt that it could have been Fox or Turning Point USA or Epic Times, PragerU. These are companies that have the money to have made an offer, but Daily Wire came out and was transparent about it. The other things, I think that he's right to point out that Steven needs their platform, that he's never actually built a platform before, that his content has always existed either on YouTube or the Blaze. And, maybe that's leading to some miscommunications and talks and stuff like that. So I think that that's fair. He also, and I think fairly, points out that the Daily Wire does not owe Steven Crowder a job. And I think that that's a fair thing to say. He also breaks down the $100,000 fee fee reduction, which I think is also fair when he explains where that number comes from. Where the $100,000 fee, that is if Steven Crowder misses an episode, comes from is essentially Daily Wire is paying him about $70,000 an episode. So if he doesn't do an episode, they don't pay him for that episode, is essentially where that number comes from. But there's also a multiplier, which he admits to. Essentially, if you could do the work and you didn't do the work, it's like you're getting penalized for a day and a half of work. It's just part of business. I think reads really cutthroaty, but I think that's fair. When you're supposed to do 192 episodes, you do 191, you get paid for 191. I think that's fair. If you could have done that other episode, you didn't do it, that's fair. So I'm not saying that, everything in the Daily Wire video is bologna sausage. I think that they made some very good points. I also think that you can still obviously really enjoy particular content creators at the Daily Wire and still kind of like not love the way they do business. It's not like Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro drafted this contract. If you look at who owns Daily Wire, they're owned by a billionaire who got all their money, I guess, in fracking. This is like something that nobody really ever talks about. People assume that it's owned by Ben Shapiro. It's not. It's owned by, what are their names? I think I retweeted it. Somebody. All of these outlets, by the way, are owned by super rich billionaires. The Blaze, Daily Wire, they're all owned by billionaires. Ferris, the Wilkes brothers, that's who owns Daily Wire. It's not owned. They're not like a small time gig fighting the power. They're owned by a billionaire. Okay. Whose headquarters are in, of course, Los Angeles, California. All right. So, let's be real here. So some of the complaints that Steven had could be quelled by the Daily Wire response. And I think that, this video has 41,000 upvotes, and last time I saw was about 14,000 downvotes. I think that, that's about expected. But now I want to talk about a little bit about some of the nefariousness in this response. Okay. And again, this is just business, but this video was very well calculated. It was very well scripted. It was very emotional and manipulative. Oh, we're just a small town girl. Our company does $10 million a month in Daily Wire Plus memberships, but we're just like you. No, they're not. They're a super huge mega corporation, okay, who makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Steven Crowder is also not exactly a small town, Joe Joe Webcam. This guy's worth big money, and I'm going to break that down too. What was off-putting about this video for me was that Jeremy Boring mentioned the number 50 million about a dozen or more times. That was on purpose, okay? That's so that you get people like Bridget Fetzi and Mike Cernovich and all these other people like, $50 million? That's crazy. Whoa, he's so greedy. And I understand why people react that way. But when you do some extremely simple math, you understand why I'm not impressed by that number. And also why, in this video, which I thought was extremely manipulative, okay? Jeremy Boring, for a straight face for 53 minutes, mentions multiple times that, oh my God, the Daily Wire is taking all this risk. We're giving him $50 million. And well, what if he gets suspended? We're taking all this risk. Now that is true until it's not true. The Daily Wire is taking almost no risk whatsoever in this contract. You want to know how I know that? Because I can do some basic math. All right, let's talk about that. Jeremy Boring here mentions that Steven Crowder communicated to him that he could bring about 350,000 paying members. That's how many members he believes are in the Mug Club. I've seen the email lists. They're bigger than that. Okay, but Jeremy Boring doesn't know that. All right. So I believe that number is relatively close to accurate. Now, Jeremy Boring makes an accurate point. 350,000 people aren't going to sign up for Daily Wire Plus immediately. Plus, I think that it's fair to say that there's probably some crossover, right? So you're not going to double sign up because Steven Crowder's there now. But again, Jeremy Boring does not make this point. He simply ignores the fact that Steven Crowder is bringing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue to Daily Wire up front, right? Let's do some simple back of the napkin math. Let's say it's 350,000, okay? It probably wouldn't be that on day one, but let's just say it is 350,000. If they're all paying $10 a month, that's $42 million a year. Again, their salary for Steven Crowder is $12 million. So that's a 3x return on their investment. Any idiot wouldn't take that deal. Okay? Anybody would take that deal. That same money, $42 million, is $168 million over 4 years, the length of the contract. Okay? Plus 3 to 4 ad reads that are probably costing 50 grand per ad read at that size, right? So they're going to make close to $200 million over 4 years. They offered Steven Crowder 50. Okay? This is huge numbers for us normies to think about. Like, I can't even fathom what $5 million is like, or $10 million. But let's not pretend that, again, these are people that would sign up for Daily Wire Plus because they are mug clubbers, okay? And the entire 52 minutes and 20 seconds of this video, Jeremy Boring does not mention that even once. He pretends that Daily Wire is like altruistic and they're just trying to run a business. Bro, okay? Let's say that number is a third. This is what everybody's missing on Twitter. It's like, oh, Steven's 50 million. Oh, he should be fine with that. You understand that he knows what he's worth, okay? And in his video calling this out, he never one time mentioned the pay. Never once. People forget that too. People think Steven just thought he wanted more money. Never said anything about that, okay? Now, Jeremy Boring said that he demanded $30 million a year. Suddenly, it went from, it's just a negotiation, to Steven Crowder's trying to extort the Daily Wire. Okay? By the way, all of these people have more money than any of us, and we shouldn't be losing sleep over it. But what I'm saying here is, let's say it's 100,000 mug clubbers, okay? That's $1 million a month Daily Wire gets day one, okay? $12 million a year. Day one. They cover Steven Crowder's entire salary, and every additional Daily Wire Plus subscription Steven Crowder sells is 100% pure profit for Daily Wire. Now do you see why I've been saying, like, God, people are ignoring the fact that Steven Crowder is bringing the mug club with him? That's why he's worth more than $12 million. Now, Daily Wire doesn't have to pay him anything, okay? But for a guy that's bringing, I would say, at minimum $10 million a year in revenue with him, the Daily Wire isn't exactly risking it all to hire Steven Crowder. And also, ignored by this, he says, well, what if Steven Crowder gets banned for a week? He's demonetized anyway, so you're not losing any money. Conveniently, doesn't point that out. Well, he does point out that he knows he's demonetized. Also, let's say Steven Crowder is demonetized, okay? Let's say he's banned, he gets a content strike. First of all, nothing's stopping people from consuming his content on dailywire.com or Rumble, okay? The guy had 500,000 people watching him live on election night. Number two, if Steven Crowder gets suspended for a week, is the Daily Wire going to refund all the mug clubbers that he brought with him to sign up? No, of course not, right? So if Steven Crowder gets suspended for a week or 2 weeks or even a month, the Daily Wire is not losing that subscription revenue. Now, he's not doing ad reads, and you can make that argument, but they're not losing the ad revenue from his videos, Google AdSense. They're not losing the monthly subscriptions that people are paying. They are losing ad reads, okay, and you can make that argument. But this whole, we're just a small town girl, we're just trying to help, is baloney sausage, because people keep forgetting that the guy has somewhere between 100,000 and 400,000 people who have raised their hand and said that they're willing to pay the guy $100 a year for a mug. Okay? So there are some I know this is all business, but I'm trying to break it down from a business perspective, many of which of my conservative peers are either too lazy or too dumb to understand. Steven Crowder's not like me. That's not like me going to the Daily Wire, where I don't have people who are a part of a membership. he has revenue coming with him that the Daily Wire is conveniently ignoring. Oh, we're just signing a guy. He doesn't have $150 million coming with him. Now, also, he explains the big tech stuff, all right? Which is really what Steven Crowder was upset about. My thing is this. You could believe what you want, all right? In half of this video, Jeremy Boring is faking crocodile tears about how offended he is that Steven Crowder would stab him in the back. They were good friends. They've been friends for years. Okay. It was just a boilerplate offer. It was just a what? Why, if you were his friend, right? Why was that crap even in the contract in the first place? Why was telling Steven Crowder that if he gets boycotted, he loses money? Why was that even in the contract in the first place if he's your friend? And if you know deeply his content? It was just a boilerplate, Jeremy Boring said. I don't believe you. You didn't bother to take the time or care to actually, do the math, actually write something specific for Steven Crowder. Now, what's entirely possible at this point is that the Daily Wire was never really interested in signing him. And they sent him that contract to pretend like they cared or to pretend like they tried to. It's like when the Green Bay Packers every year are like, oh, we made an offer to this wide receiver. We tried to sign him, but they made like a bare minimum offer. So that could be exactly what it is. But I think, again, what the Daily Wire conveniently doesn't tell you in 52 minutes and 20 seconds is Steven Crowder is bringing a massive amount of money with him and handing it directly over to the Daily Wire. Every new subscription he sells going forward goes to the Daily Wire. Okay? Now, you can argue that paying $50 million to earn $200 million isn't good enough for them. That's fine. But, I mean, even if they paid $50 million and made $100 million, you know what I'm saying? Like the math. So the two are probably never destined to work together. I think the Daily Wire's done some great work. They've done a lot of good things, and I applaud them for that. But this video was PR, maybe just like Steven Crowder's was, right? Maybe Steven Crowder's video was to galvanize his base to make sure he could get them to sign up for Mug Club again. But he certainly had other concerns that I think were valid about this contract. Mark Dice, again, does a great job where he shares this clip of Ben Shapiro, caught on a hot mic, asking his producer to delete a very mild joke to avoid getting boycotted.
His producer to cut out part of a live stream because he.
Can we just cut that?
I can ask.
That'd be great.
Before it's reposted?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could,
It's like a 10-second bit. It's about halfway through. It's just I'm pansexual. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, you like everything? Like,
Yeah,
just like.
You want to get rid of that?
Yeah, it's just like, it's nothing, but
So
don't
when
make it
you
something.
when you
I mean, it is
finish,
weird that you are attracted to every single thing.
Yeah.
Wait, when
no
you finish-
taste at all.
I thought that was a funny bit.
It is a funny bit, but that's why I'll get boycotted.
Right? Maybe Ben Shapiro has the same kind of, if you get boycotted, you lose your money thing. And all he said was that it was kind of weird. He didn't even really say something intense. Mark Dice also points out the sheer massive amounts of money. By the way, you should watch Mark Dice's video. The sheer massive amounts of money the Daily Wire spends advertising on Facebook and other places. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. $1 million a month or something like that promoting Ben Shapiro. They're working, having dinner with Mark Zuckerberg. They are absolutely a business first, and that's fine. But the idea that, Jeremy Boring was he's just so heartbroken over a friend. I don't buy it. But again, all this does is tell me that, like, there are levels to this, and I'm not even in the game. Like, I need to, you know, again, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter yet and you're still here at the end of the video, please open a new tab, go to thequartering.com, sign up for the newsletter, make sure you go check your email, and then you say, yes, subscribe me to this list. Because I've got something really big planned. We're going to start teasing a little bit of it. Whole new show. Nothing about my daily content will change. Still producing videos every day, but man alive. It's embarrassing seeing how much money these people are making. Tim Pool said he makes $10 million a year. What am I doing? What am I doing? I need to get serious about this, and I'm ready to. I'm ready to put a lot of assets into it, a lot of money, a lot of time. Because I was like staring up at night, all night last night, staring at the ceiling. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Tim Pool's like, I make 10 million. What? Steven Crowder's earned, and all these people have earned it. I don't mean to look at another guy's pocketbook. I'm just saying, dang, my pocketbook is small. I need to get working. So if you can, join the newsletter. I'll be interested to hear what you think about this whole debacle in the comment section down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Oh yeah, subscribe if you haven't yet.